Hello, everyone, and welcome to Everything in Racing. One last time, I swear, Ernie's not here. He keeps promising he's going to show up, but we have definitely revoked his bracket racer card at this point. He has been gone. But I got a very special guest today, Dan from Greasy Kustoms. Dan, welcome on board.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So Dan's a little bit different than our normal podcaster that we have on here. You're not a racer. You're not a promoter. You don't own a track. You don't run a track.
Mm-mm.
You are in the custom hot rod business.
Yes, and I'm wickedly handsome.
Yeah, well, that's... Look, comment down below whether you believe that Dan is wickedly handsome. We'll do a poll or something in there. And
just
see
don't
what they
show
say.
me.
I'm going to tag you every time somebody votes.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take it.
All right. So, Dan, just like we ask everybody else, what got you into this world of horrible financial decisions?
It's my dad's fault.
Shortest answer yet. We're out, folks.
So, and I'll explain it.
Okay.
The reason it's my dad's fault is because he got me into cars in general.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we were kids, he'd take us to the car shows and the plastic car models that everybody built when they were little, and he was a RC airplane modeler, so it just rolled into real cars one day. And my first vehicle was a 64 Ford F100 short bed, Y-block V8, 3-speed on the column, and I have been disease-ridden with this wonderful joy of hot rods ever since. And it's grown into my own business full-time here recently.
Yeah. So how long have you been going full-time?
A little over 2 years now.
Okay.
We did it part-time for about 4 or 5 years before then.
Okay. So what is the process, I guess, of like, because I've seen some of your work, and like we'll throw some pictures up here for people to see. We'll kind of go through it, you know, of like some of the work that you've done.
Yeah.
What is like the because like you do like full up restoration work, like bare frame all the way up.
Yeah,
stuff.
we do everything from full restoration work to, you know, oil changes on a classic Mustang, or we have some like you've seen that are, you know, just upgrades. We're doing a brake upgrade. We're adding air conditioning to it. We are upgrading it to 12-volt wiring. And the process usually starts with the customer coming to me and sitting down, discussing what we're going to do, setting a budget. Typically, the budget's blown at some point. No fault of mine or the customer's, just that's the
project creep.
Yeah, and much like all these race car folks experience, you go into thinking, oh, I'm just going to spend $1,000 on this and upgrade it. Next thing you know, the engine's on the floor and the frame's cut in half and whoops.
Yeah.
And it's the same with hot rods. It really is. While we're not racing them on a track and competing against others, you still are competing when you build your own hot rod or custom car, because you want it to be different. You want it to be faster than everybody else. And, you know, you want it to sound better and look cooler. And that's a lot. That's a whole lot to accomplish, and you can't accomplish it for $10.
Nope. Nope, you can't. So, what's the process of learning? Like, do you just like work for regular mechanic shops, or is this like you specialize, learn this stuff? You know, just find teachers along the way. Like,
well, like a lot of other things in the automotive industry, you can go. There's like two paths you can really take. You can either take the path of going to school, somebody like UTI. They have a bunch of different schools everywhere, and you can go in there and learn specialized training in car fabrication, chassis fabrication, bodywork, engine building. Or you can do like I did, and you get a job at a tire shop when you're 18, and you're the oil change guy, and you change tires and oil, and then 20 years later, you're a lead technician at a Freightliner dealership. And in between all of that, I just picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong. I had people along the way to sit down and show me what to do, but I never sat down in a classroom to learn how to do this, unless you count watching Stacy David on Saturday mornings as a kid and a teenager. That was probably my school, was watching all those Saturday morning hot rod shows and going to the car shows and building cars with my friends. I mean, I'm sure you experienced it too. When you're a teenager, you don't have any money. You want to make your first car kind of cool. So, you know, you buy headers out of a junkyard and you bend them around a tree to make them fit into something it's not supposed to fit into. I guess what really taught me the most was poor people tricks with cars. You know, we didn't have any money to spend on these cars. So we would just rig stuff up. And later in life, I learned that all these things that we were doing as stupid teenagers, people get paid to do this professionally. And they get paid to bend headers and make them fit and cut them up and, mash chassis together and put axles and things that are not supposed to be in there. And that's how I learned it, on the job training, more or less. Now, don't get me wrong. And as I've grown with my business and with my personal skill set, I have tried to spend time to sit down with professionals to improve on fabrication skills, sheet metal working, and things like welding. While I do MIG weld proficiently, I've been trying to pick up my TIG welding a lot more because, as I'm sure a lot of race car folks experience, TIG welding is used quite often. And a lot of times it's the preferred method depending on what type of material you're working with. So always continuing education now. I don't wish that I went to school for it. I think I learned just fine the way I did. I didn't pick up too many bad habits, but those are the two ways. You either learn on the streets or in school. So
my little brother is going to Wake Tech right now for electrical,
Yeah.
and he's working for an electrical company. And he was asking me, he's like, I've learned a bunch of stuff in class, and I've learned a bunch of stuff on the job. He's like, what? He's like, but I see myself getting slotted into a spot, and I learn everything on that spot, but then I stop learning, right? He's like, how do I keep going up? I was like, how you keep going up is when the boss comes in and says, hey, guys, I have a dirty, nasty job. I need someone to do it. You're the first one to pick it. Put your hand out and say,
Yep,
I'll take it.
Yep, because the ones who are, when the boss sees that you're thirsty to learn and move forward, they're going to give you something to drink. They're going to give you that work, and some of it's going to suck, but you can say you did it.
Yep. And then when he's looking for a promotion of, hey, I need someone to lead my team of guys that don't want to do this stuff.
Yeah.
He's going to say, I'm going to go to the guy who does want to lead them, does want to do the job.
Absolutely.
And I mean, plumbing's the same way.
Yeah.
Right? There's some stuff that I learned that I wish I hadn't learned, but it's okay because that got me to the next step.
My dad's a plumber, and the only thing I ever learned about plumbing from his was that hot's on the left and cold's on the right, and poop doesn't flow uphill.
Nope. Nope, it does not.
I just call you when I have plumbing problems.
That is very true. We are neighbors, by the way. We live a couple houses down from each other.
Yeah, on different streets, though, because the town won't let us live on the same street.
No. That's why Mike also lives on a different street.
It is. Yeah, we have to spread the wealth.
Spread the love. So, what was your first project you took on that wasn't Dan's project? It was like
for
a customer. For a customer.
I would have to say that would be a friend's car that I did some work on. But outside of that, because I don't think that really counts. You always help your buddies out. That's part of the camaraderie about racing and hot rods and cars in general. So a non-friend, non-customer car would be the Camaro I did. It was a 68 Camaro, and that was the first one I took on as Greasy Boy Customs. Legit, that was my first big job that I took in. And because I was so hungry to get into it, I took on a big job. This was not like
Was it that gray one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
this thing
was
gorgeous.
This thing was,
picture here.
Yeah, the picture of it's gorgeous. However, the body and shell that he started with was actually 3 different car bodies that were mashed together. So the dashboard was 2 different dashboards that had been welded together crooked, and 2 other body men had already had their hands on it and had just ruined the body, and then the third body man had to do a lot of fixing on it. But I didn't do body work on that one. We did a 383 stroker from Blueprint Engines with sniper fuel injection, Tremec 5-speed, had 4-link coilover rear suspension, power steering, power rack and pinion steering on the front. We also did all custom electrical, everything. The dash was all custom. Even the dash panel, the customer had found this one from Detroit Speed, I think it was. $800 for this sheet metal dash insert. Don't get me wrong, it looked cool. Pretty sure I could make it for $40. But not my money. He bought it. He wanted it. That's fine. So did that, custom gauges, all this other stuff, and it ended up being a huge build. It was just supposed to be, hey, can you drop this engine and transmission in? And it ended up being a 2-year build. And then that was my first real taste of having to coordinate with upholstery and exhaust and paint and body. Because, granted, we do some exhaust work, but I don't have a tube bender to bend exhaust pipe. I don't do full custom exhaust in my shop. Usually we outsource that. So arranging that, and luckily I knew the guy who did the body work, so arranging with him wasn't too bad. But I also ended up unknowingly taking on the responsibility of liaison of everything. So the customer didn't call all these other vendors. He only called me. Working in a shop for somebody else, and then all of a sudden I'm the guy. That was a little much at first, because now I've got all these vendors that I've got to call to relay information to my customer, and none of them wanted to just CC my customer in the email. That would have been way too easy, right? So it was a lot of back and forth, and you would have thought at that point I would have said, Dan, no more full jobs right now till you have the space, because at this time we were still operating out of a 2-car garage. And my brother who lived with me had his Corvette that he was drag racing, plus a motorcycle that he was drag racing. And the garage was also full of remote control airplanes and then my personal projects. It was an absolute disaster. If you think the shop space is tight now, you hadn't seen nothing. But I thought that would teach me to stay away from those big projects like that. It did not.
I think you've got 4 down there right now.
Right now I've got 4 full custom builds. They are not stock. They're not going back stock. There's nothing stock about them at all. And I should have said no, but I really enjoy it. I do. They look really cool, and it's that gratification of at the end of the build. Yes, starting it, you're enthused. The middle 70% of the build, you're wishing it will end. And then the last little bit, and you see it done, and you get to drive it, and you get to fire it up for the first time, and everybody's oohing and on when they come look at it, and you post it on social media, and you get 5 likes. Instagram. So doing those things, it keeps me driven to do that. Also, it helps me push myself. If I don't push myself and I'm not doing like the dirty work like you were talking about, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to do any better. I'm not going to learn anything. I try to learn something new every day, whether it's a dad joke or a practical skill in the shop. I always try to keep things going. And these project cars have absolutely kept me on my toes with diving into LS swaps, which I was new to. I was totally against them. I was anti-LS swaps for a long time. They're not bad.
You'd be right at home at the stock block nitrous class, or as I refer to it, the LS swapped Fox body class.
LSs and Fox bodies?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of the LS, all of the stock block nitrous class is basically an LS in a Fox body. They put either a Turbo 400 or a Power Glide.
Yeah.
And they strip everything out, and that's it. And they go, I got a race car.
I mean, that's like trying to say that the cars that they race at NASCAR are cars that you would find on the street, because it's not. It's not the same thing. Yeah. I don't know. If I was in that class, I feel like I'd be more tempted to throw a Coyote in a Fox body. However, I've never done that before. I don't know how the fitment would be, or if it's financially better.
I know that it does fit. Coyote wouldn't be as good on a nitrous stock block class. Stock block boost.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's where you'd want to go with the Coyote.
Yeah.
But nitrous, they don't respond as well to nitrous.
And I see
to just nitrous.
I think this is where I show my old man traits a little bit, and where I'm a little more traditional in things. I love modern upgrades on cars. I love doing fuel injection kits and adding air conditioning and upgraded suspension and making the car handle and drive better, because it makes it more enjoyable. You'll drive it more, or your customer, whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, I still like a carbureted V8. Just for a general cruiser street car, like, I'm not drag racing it. And you know what? My shoebox is a great example. There is nothing special about that car or that engine. It's a 351 Windsor that's bored over a little bit, and it's got a 4-barrel on it. I'm not even running headers. It's got stock truck manifolds on it because they were free. Yeah. I don't care. You know what, though? That car starts every time. It drives me wherever I need it to go, and it'll do a burnout when it's wet outside.
And it catches attention, though. The patina on it is really cool.
I think the biggest thing that catches attention is everybody's amazed that it's moving under its own power.
That is true.
Because it looks like it was just pulled out of a scrap pile. And, that was slightly intentional, slightly financial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so that's the shoebox.
Yeah.
That thing. Tell everyone about Junior.
Junior the Roadster.
Junior the Roadster.
I love Junior. Junior's he's my buddy. He's like the son I never had. Kind of ugly but cool. You know, just like if I would have had a son, people would have said the same things about him. But as a young hot rodder, you know, we always buy the car magazines. I don't know if that's actually popular anymore. I don't know if people go to the store to buy hot rod magazines anymore.
I think there's still a couple magazines out there. I think a hot rod magazine is still going strong.
But, you know, like as a kid, I used to go to Walmart and there was tons of magazines. And you would just like, or grocery store, wherever you get your magazines at. And I would thumb through the pages and I would read them over and over again. There'd be a stack of them on the toilet. And that's like, I didn't read books in school, but I read hot rod magazines. And you can't do book reports on those, apparently. I tried.
Miss Carol.
Yeah. Yeah. What the hell? So I saw these pictures in a magazine, and it was an artist rendering. I can't remember the artist. I have the picture somewhere, but it was this really cool Model A Roadster, but it's what some people call a Bantam, where it's just the Roadster cab. It's kind of like a truck with the roof cut off, like a Roadster pickup cab. And the rear axle is exposed, the rear frame's exposed, and it's really stumpy, and it just looked wild and different. And I always kept saying, I'm going to build one of those one day. I'm going to build one day. And like anything else, if you wait until you're ready, it's never going to happen. So I waited until I was completely unprepared and did it. I was fortunate, though, because being in this industry as long as I have a lot of good friends that have parts. They have equipment that I may need, and like the cowl. I don't remember where I got the cowl from. I have no idea. The cowl's a 31 Model A cowl. And then the sides of the body are just handmade out of sheet metal. The back wall of the cab is a 40s pickup. I don't even know if it's a Ford pickup. It might be a Chevy pickup. I'm really not sure. Came pre-made with bullet holes in it, which I did not weld up because I thought it added a nice touch. I built the frame from scratch, and it's air ride front and rear. The rear axle, the engine and transmission are out of a 63 Fairlane, so it's a 260 V8, which is an oddball V8 for Ford.
That is.
It is. Ford had a couple weird V8s before the 289 and the 302 really settled in. They had a 260, and I think they had like a 240 or something like that. I might be wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody knows. Somebody's going to be like, you're an idiot. This was a 241.
Way before my era.
Yeah, either way. They're small displacement V8s, not a lot of power. The 260 that's in mine, I think, had like 180 horsepower. But in a 2,000-pound car, that's still a lot of fun. 2-speed, Ford-O-Matic transmission, which, not the best, but it works.
The headers.
So I'm sure many of you have experienced when you go to buy headers for a 302, there are some variables. Not all 302s are created equal. On some year model heads, the spark plug location in relation to the exhaust port is not the same. And the cheaper headers are the ones that wouldn't work on mine. So I found the cheapest set of headers that I could on Amazon. I think they were $50. They were absolute crap. But I just wanted the flanges. So I bought them. I cut the pipe off. I went to Lowe's Home Improvement. And I bought garden fence post. It's galvanized, so, you know, why not? And it's honestly as thick as exhaust tubing. And I was like, why not? So it's just 4 pipes straight out on each side, slash cut, header wrapped. They sound fine, they look fine, and I think I have $100 in my exhaust system. And that was one of the goals with this car was, you know, typically I work on high-end cars or nice muscle cars, restored cars, or I restore those cars. And I wanted to build my cars like complete crap, apparently. But I wanted a rat rod. Rat rods have a bad name with a lot of people. People have this tendency to link rat rod to piece of crap, poorly built vehicle, which is not the case at all. I'm not just saying this because I write for a Rat Rod magazine, but
Yeah.
there is, especially working with the magazine, I've seen so many really nice rat rods. Basically, it's just a look, that rusty patina kind of look, and that's what I wanted with this. You don't grind the welds. You lay the best weld you can and you rock it. If there's a hole in it, leave it. Who cares? Just enjoy it, drive it. I mean, obviously, if I drove that thing in any kind of wet weather, so much water would come inside of it. but it's safe.
Need a scavenge pump in there.
Absolutely. I'll get that Milwaukee one they got, like you just picked up,
yeah,
right,
like
with
I
the
just got,
battery
yeah.
on it. Yeah, I'll just keep that in the car. People are like, what are you doing? I was like, bilge pump. But Junior's cool, and the whole idea on that car was to keep it under $5,000. And I did. I accomplished my goal. It was under $5,000, and that's with all new brakes, steering, suspension components. All the safety stuff is brand new. And brand new wheels and tires. I had the wheels custom made from the wheelsmith in California for the right backspace and offset that I needed for mine. And it worked out great. They did a good job. So to build basically an adult-sized street-legal go-kart for under $5,000 that turns heads and catches attention, and it's almost a traditional hot rod and kind of almost a rat rod. It dances in the middle. I think it's great, and I love it. And I don't drive it enough. And currently, it is storing parts for a customer's vehicle.
Which is what happens with most of our projects.
I know. Well, when we got the place we're in now, Jacqueline told me that the house garage was not mine. That was the agreement. Mm-hmm. You've been there.
Yep.
That was a lie.
Yep, it's yours.
It's mine. Now it's full of old bicycles, too.
Well, I mean, the only deal that Abby and I do have when it comes to this place that we live at is that the garage is mine.
Yeah.
Everything else is hers.
Yep.
And I've pretty much stuck to that. I have taken over this space right here for doing podcasting.
Yeah.
But she wasn't using it.
And if she wanted it, you would make arrangements to make it work.
I would.
Yeah.
It is, of course, like after I got everything all fixed up here, got the air conditioning unit put up here, she's all of a sudden like, what we should do upstairs?
That's nice.
I'm like, I just did all that work up there. Now you want to take it over.
Yep. That I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Jacqueline doesn't want to go in my office.
No. I don't even want to go in your office.
No, it's kind of creepy. There's 2 cats that live in there.
Yeah.
A bunch of guitars and random hot rod stuff everywhere.
Yeah. So let's walk through a couple of the long-term projects you're working on. Because you've got a couple of the short-term ones coming in. Yeah. Like you've got that, it's the Lincoln, right? The pink one?
The 59 Lincoln Premier.
Yeah, that thing is...
It's a boat.
It is a boat. How long is that thing?
It's like 18 or 19 feet.
Yeah, I thought it was longer than that.
No.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't fit on a trailer very, very well.
Nope.
But
you can fit at least 9 bodies in the trunk of that thing.
Especially now that the trunk's secure and it has a new trunk pan.
Yeah.
So you can safely put them in there. If you would have put bodies in that trunk before it came to the shop, they would have fell through.
Yeah, that is true.
Driving down the road with limbs dragging behind you.
Yeah, but that's actually a shorter term project for you.
It is.
A couple weeks that'll be in and out, right? So like the longest one you've had there right now, and you're still working on it, is the Bronco.
The Bronco.
So what's the story with the Bronco?
Do you ever love and hate something so much? That's it for me.
Yeah.
That was another one that the project started off. It's a 77 Bronco. So that is the last year of what people call the little Broncos before they switched over to a full-size truck frame. They're really cool. They're very valuable now. They have gone up tremendously in price.
Broncos?
Oh, yeah. The first-gen Broncos are ridiculous. And a friend of a friend gave a guy a number. He called me. He's local, not far away. I go over and look at it. This truck had been wrecked in the A pillar and the B pillar on the driver's side. There was rot in the floors. There was rot in the quarters. The engine was dismantled. The transmission, who knows? And it was in rough shape. It was supposed to be a California truck. There was some lying along the way, though, before my customer had picked it up. And him and his wife really loved this thing, and they wanted to build it. Initially, I was just supposed to do sheet metal work, and that was it. Like I said, I'm not a full-on body shop, but I do the sheet metal work and get it ready for body work, final fit and finish and filler work and stuff like that. And I was just supposed to do sheet metal. Now, it's a full project. So we have a engine and the Coyote and the 10-speed transmission out of a 2020 or 2021 F-150.
So third-gen Coyote.
Yep, third-gen with the direct injection. Is that what it? Yep. Okay, and the 10-speed transmission. We originally were going to run the factory transfer case that came with this Coyote setup, but unfortunately it was too large. Luckily, they make an adapter to put the original 77 Dana transfer case on there, so we were able to do that. Rebuilt the transfer case, rebuilt the front and rear axles. All that's been painted. We did a lot of welding on the frame and fixing that. That's been powder coated. We're doing all the sheet metal work on it. I think the only sheet metal that has not been replaced is about 80% of the floor pan. The rest of it is all brand new. In hindsight, and me and my customer, I'm glad he laughs with me about this and he doesn't want to kill us. But had we had, the ability to see into the future that far ahead and realize that we would come into that many problems with the body and sheet metal, it would have been smarter to buy a whole tub for like $10,000 or $12,000. Mm-hmm. But it's too late. We're already in it. We're going for it. Or it's really not that.
Only way through is through.
Pretty much. So along with it being a Coyote swap Bronco and all these cool upgrades, when there's companies that sell Coyote swaps for these Broncos, there's not like a user manual on how to do this, which I run into a lot with my job. Mm-hmm. It's not very often I can, Google it and be like, how do you install a Coyote in a Bronco? But it's such a popular swap, there are companies that offer swap kits for it. Power by the Hour, I think, is one of them. And they're great to deal with on the phone, by the way. We've used a lot of their products on this build, and I've been really happy with them. But my customer wanted to do stuff a little bit different. A lot of guys put this engine in, and they cut the webbing out of the bottom of the hood so the engine clears. And he was like, well, what can we do? I said, just put the engine lower. Well, then you run into problems. And then you're making custom motor mounts and custom brackets. And luckily, the guy over at KMF in Florida, I think his name was Ed, I can't remember. They sell a low clearance modified oil pan designed for those Broncos. So your front axle, your hogshead on your front axle is offset to one side. They slash cut the oil pan on one side so it clears it. So you can lower the engine way down. So my engine, it's not mine. My customer's engine is probably about 2 to 3 inches lower than where people usually put it, which helps out with your center of gravity, by the way. And we were also able to change a couple other things with the transmission mounting, and we had to make a cross member from scratch, and we're going all out on this. It's going to have vintage air in it. The interior, he already had the seats recovered. Oh my God, it's gorgeous. It's like a camel brown, like leather with the diamond stitching. So it looks classic, but it's still like really nice quality. And I think he's going with a factory mint green color, which is going to look great together. It really is. And this is a full one-off custom, there's plenty of custom Broncos, first-gen Broncos out there that have been a Coyote swapped, but ours is different. We didn't just buy generic stuff and bolt it in. Little stupid things that make it just a little bit unique. Even something simple as modifying your dash or a custom center console or little touches on the outside. These little things matter in the end. It really does. And that's one of the big things with my customers is because I'm a smaller shop, I'm just one guy in the shop, I give them individualized attention that their car deserves. I'm a doctor. They're my patient. I don't get paid like a doctor. But,
we'll start calling you Dr. Dan instead of Dirty Dan.
Did I ever tell you why I'm called Dirty Dan?
No, why are you called Dirty Dan?
I've never told you this story. Everybody thinks this. Everybody says that I'm called Dirty Dan because I'm a dirty grease monkey and, my hands are stained and all this. That's actually not the case. When I was 17, I worked at Advanced Auto Parts part-time. It was just a job so I can get a discount in engine parts. And there was this guy came in, his name was John, and he drove like an 80s Chevy G20 van, like total, looks like he's stealing children, like really creepy looking van. This dude gets out wearing a hat like Gilligan, one of those like fishing hats, overalls. He's fired up loud, and he was always doing weird stuff like putting airplane motors in boats and stuff like that. So me and him got along pretty good because I thought he was just stupid enough to hang out with me.
Yep.
And one day he asked me, he goes, where are you from, Dan? I said, I'm from Connecticut. He goes, oh, Lord, you're a dirty Yankee. And I was like, whatever. He goes, you're okay, though. You're okay, Dirty Dan. You are cool. And that was it. And I told like 2 of my friends this story that night, and it's stuck now for, I don't know how many years ago that was, 25 years ago, something like 22 years ago. I can't do math. I'm 40, whatever that comes out to. And it's just stuck. And that's, it's a little weird when my nephews call me Uncle Dirty in front of people that don't know me. But it is what it is. That's even my email has my name in it, and when I give them my email, they're like, Dirty Dan, really? Like, yeah, especially at like my kid's school, because God forbid I have another email that's a professional adult one.
Yeah. I get that 100%.
So as far as the other projects in the shop, the out of the 4, the big ones, the other one is the 70 Chevelle Malibu. It is a Malibu. It started off as a Malibu bench seat car, original owner, which is really cool. This guy bought it brand new. And the lady he's married to now, his second wife, he was actually dating this girl in 1970 when he bought that car. So years later, he got the girl and the car.
Nice.
So pretty cool. And that one's going to be fun. It is an LS swap, and we're running a 4L80 in that car. It's a built one. It was built by a local guy, and that one's getting all the works. It's going to get lowered. We're going to shave the drip rails off of it because I think it looks cool, and everything, all the trims coming off. We're going to make it look slick. All the side markers. I hate side markers. They're going. We're getting rid of them. A lot of sheet metal work. It's a vinyl top car. Any of you that have owned a vinyl top car from the 60s or 70s, they're always rotted out around the back window all the time because it was a terrible idea. So all the back window.
Well, so I agree with you that it was a terrible idea, but I do like the look.
I do like the look, but
it's Shannon Young just finished building a Nova for her son Chase.
Yeah.
Right. And they sent us a picture of it. It has this like kind of yellowish cream color yellow to it, and, and he sent us a picture of it as he was finishing it up, and every single one of us commented, needs a vinyl top. Needs a bike vinyl top. And he put it on, looks way better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the car and the color combo. This car was like puke green. Like
yeah, you're right, it is puke green.
Like peas, like that color green that peas are. And
like split pea soup.
Yes, yeah. And back then the manufacturers had all these fun car names for their colors, and like, oh no, this is Shoreline Sapphire. I'm like, no, that's brown. I don't know what shoreline you're working at, but
it's the Jersey Shore.
It maybe so. And so this Chevelle is getting a full everything, and it's going to be cool. It's not going to be the most awesome Chevelle ever built. That's not what we're going for.
It's a cruiser.
It is. This is going to be a reliable, fun car. He could daily drive this car if he wants to. It's going to have disc brakes all the way around. We're lowering the whole thing 2 inches all the way around, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it just changes the look just enough, and it fills the wheel wells up a little more, and it doesn't really change your handling in a negative way at all. So, again, fun little upgrade. Then we have the Datsun. So the Datsun, that you were with me and your dad when we pulled that thing out, and it became a retaining wall.
Yeah.
We go to the storage unit, and I feel like we were slightly misled. I think your dad lied to us a little bit.
Yeah. He was like, oh, it shouldn't be too bad to pick this thing up. It's just sitting out in the open.
Yeah.
Technically, it was.
Yeah, sitting out in the open in a storage unit against a landslide.
Yeah, and the one side, literally, there was leaves up to the level of the window.
Yeah, we had to
dig it out.
Yeah, we had to dig it out with shovels, and the glass in the driver's door was missing, and 4 or 5 different tarps that had failed over the years. There's remnants.
Tarp had been put on it to keep stuff out. It had disintegrated. And so instead of pulling off the old tarp, he just threw another tarp over top of that and another tarp over top of that.
Yep. But
4 times.
This car was a 72 Datsun 240Z. I have a special place in my heart for these Datsun cars because a lot of my friends growing up had these Datsuns. I make that sound like I'm an old man, but I'm not. It's just they were available and they were fun, and even with the straight sixes in them, they had really great torque. They moved. They weighed nothing. And you could get these in the late 70s, early 80s with factory fuel injection. They even had a factory turbo option back then, if I'm not mistaken, as well. These cars, independent rear suspension, like even the 72. In 72, it had independent rear suspension. How many cars had independent rear suspension in 1972?
Not many.
No, not at all. Especially in American cars, because we're still big steel land yachts, Yep. And then you get these Asian-made cars that come in, which, hard to break into the market to start with, but luckily Honda kind of paved the way for that, I believe. And you have these really fun sports cars. And then people started doing what people in America do. We put V8s in everything.
Yes, we do. And
I'm a big fan of that. And that's what this Datsun is doing. This Datsun's getting an LS. It's based on like the 2001 throttle cable setup, not a drive-by-wire setup. 5.3, 5-speed Tremec transmission, and Dirty Dingo makes a motor mount kit. You don't have to modify anything. the factory Datsun 6-cylinder motor mounts, and their mounts bolt to the engine, and it lands right in there. There's a little bit of oil pan clearance you have to work on, but an aftermarket oil pan solves that. And if you go with the 6-speed transmission, the shifter lever lands in the same spot as the factory one. And we went with the 5-speed, so we've got to offset the shifter back a little bit, but again, not a big deal. And apparently these rear ends are bulletproof and can handle this power. We are doing a lot of sheet metal work on this. We already did the floor pans in it. They were pretty rotten. There are some spots.
Especially on the driver's side where that window was gone.
It was so bad. And I think somebody had poured body filler in there and like mixed it on the floor and just like spread it out a little bit. But
that they probably poured the golf balls in there at the same time.
There was a lot of golf balls.
There was a lot of golf balls in that thing.
There was. So that's probably why the glass was broken. Somebody was probably using it as a target, knocking golf balls in there.
Yeah.
But that one's going to be a really fun build. So it's not quite like we're building like a Fast and Furious car. But we're going to do fender flares. We're going to lower it a little bit. And we're going to upgrade the brakes. And we're going to all new wiring. And again, with the V8 engine. And this build has been done before. There's one I was watching online. I don't know what year Datsun it was, but it was like a brown color.
Mm-hmm.
And they did a phenomenal job on it. And it was gorgeous. And I really fell in love with it even more once I saw a completed one. And surprisingly to me, this was another car that you wouldn't expect there to be this awesome aftermarket for, but there is.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy everything for this car pretty reasonably. Some stuff's a little pricey, but overall, it's going to be a really fun project. Also, it's not big. It doesn't take up a lot of space.
Yeah.
So that's great. The last big build, full build that we're doing, I guess would be
that Ford truck one.
The 31 Ford.
Yeah, the 31 Ford.
The 31 Ford. This was literally, it's 31 Ford, so that's considered a Model A. It's the last year of the Model A's. This was brought to me completely disassembled in pieces. Mm-hmm. And I think you saw it too. Like
the frame had been sitting up on the wall. The cab had been sitting somewhere else.
Yep. The customer had bought this thing while it was running and driving with the original engine and everything in it. 4-cylinder flathead engine, running and driving, drove it for a while, and then just took it apart. And Dennis is one of my favorite customers because he is the definition of an old school hot rodder. He does not care. He takes that beautiful car and he's like, it can be better. Disassemble. And he did. Everything got sandblasted. He coated everything, bought an aftermarket Pete and Jake frame with all new suspension. So doing the initial bolting together of the car and test fitting has literally been like building a plastic model car full size in my garage, which is great because you have all these brand new parts and you're just assembling it. And I think in about 8 hours, I had a rolling frame with the engine and transmission sitting in it and the cab sitting on there, not bolted down or anything. But that one has been there's been a lot of instant gratification with that, and that tends to get me distracted because I enjoy shiny things like a raccoon. I'm like, ooh, look, something shiny. Especially when that engine showed up, because we're putting a Blueprint 383 stroker, carbureted, and a 700 R4, and it's already got a Ford 9-inch in it. And with this upgraded frame, you get rid of the buggy springs. For those of you who don't know what buggy springs are, they're terrible and stupid. But it was the primary suspension back then. Instead of having 2 parallel leaf springs that run front to rear, you had one that just ran from the left to the right of the axle, like an arch. And then the center of it hooked to the axle. So not only was that your articulation, but it was your spring. They didn't handle well at all. And they looked really goofy. And then the cars sat really funny. And you had to have these weird kick-ups on your frame. So switching over to a 4-link and a coilover, and it's adjustable with the pan hard bar. They do sell triangulated setups, and they do have 2-link setups available. But the exact same thing on the front axle. It's a straight axle. Straight axle is real old school technology, but if you go to a hot rod show, half the cars out there still have straight axles because they're tried and true. They work. There's nothing wrong with them. Independent suspension's cool, but when you're running a fenderless car and its independent suspension, to me, looks goofy. It just, while it operates beautiful and it makes the car ride better, it just doesn't have the same appeal. You know, probably the most famous hot rod ever built, I would say, would be the yellow Ford Coupe from American Graffiti, the Milner 32 Ford Coupe, which the movie company bought for, I think, $1,300. And now they did a bunch of modifications to it, but that is the epitome of a hot rod. And that's what I like chasing after, and a lot of my customers like chasing after. But, you know, at the end of the day, I just like working on anything and making it not stock.
Mhm.
That's really fun.
Yeah.
I don't think anything on my property is stock. At all those customer cars back there, not a one of them.
Yeah, maybe your truck.
My pickup truck,
Yeah,
like
your
that I
pickup-
drive.
yeah, that thing is stock.
There's things that have been done to that we can't talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
things.
Thanks. Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah. Okay.
Then, well, it's studded. It's not stock. It's a 6
Oh,
liter.
okay.
It's a
You-
6 liter,
you
so
did-
you know
you
the
did-
head
you did.
gasket's blue at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine's studded. Yours is studded.
Yeah, you are a stud.
Yeah.
Mike's
thanks,
isn't
man.
studded though.
Yeah, we need to do his.
He has no reason to. His has more miles on it, I think, too, and it's
Yeah.
just reliable.
Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's the only vehicle he owns that he doesn't drive like he stole it.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever ridden with Mike anywhere?
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of scary,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
but that truck, he loves that truck.
Yes.
And he babies that truck.
Yeah.
And he does not drive that thing like he stole it.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, I mean, and he just watches all the gauges like a madman.
I do that too,
Yeah.
but that's the mechanic in me, and I know other mechanics that do this, and maybe you notice it when you ride around with them. No matter what the temperature is outside, my window is always cracked,
Mm-hmm.
so I can hear things.
Mm-hmm.
Just like when you're a kid and you're driving in the rain, your dad turns down the radio.
Mhm.
I do it because I can hear the tires hydroplaning.
Yep.
You can hear it. You know the sound. It changes pitch, and you know something's wrong. And I love to listen to those things, and that's the other thing I love about hot rods. You loud exhaust, and you can see the engine working, and it's not hidden under a bunch of plastic covers. And you know, when it blows up, it looks way cooler than like
Mhm.
plastic covers flying off. Oh, there goes a blower. That's way cooler to watch go flying.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not a good way to explain that, huh?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's fine though. You know, so let's say there's a young guy out there. He wants to get into hot rodding, right? And,
Yeah.
And what would you say? Like, look, this is like your starter project. What's a car or a year he should look for, or like obviously my thought is start simple.
Yeah.
Don't immediately go pull a frame out of some scrapyard somewhere and start with something that doesn't run.
Now, I think that's going to depend on your support team.
Mm-hmm.
So, someone who maybe they have a family member, a brother or a sister or a dad who's in hot rods or racing or automotive, if you have that good village to already help you, then yeah, do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you're like me and that wasn't the case, while my dad worked on his own cars, changed his own oil, belts, hoses, stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have that. I just had my idiot friends who told me to do really stupid things, and that really hasn't changed.
Mhm.
It's still about
I
the
still
same.
tell you to do stupid things.
Well, and even those same friends that I had 30 years ago, they still tell
Mhm.
me to do the same stupid crap, and I do it. But a good example would be what I got started on, and that was that 60s Ford truck. If you like trucks, a 60s or 70s era truck is great because lack of computers,
Mhm.
they're carbureted, they're simple to work on, the parts are plentiful, you can still find parts in the junkyard, and as far as a car, I would lean towards the same thing on a car. 60s or 70s cars. 70s stuff's a little more affordable because it's usually a little uglier and not as desirable. But as we get older, that's changing. Because 20 years ago when I was buying my first cars, I could buy a square body Chevy for $500 and drive it home. You can't do that now.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. I mean, you're going to spend $5,000 and have to have it towed home because everything's gone up so much. So
And the square bodies have kind of come around. They're more popular now.
they are. The square bodies and K5s and Scouts and Broncos, like they have gone through the roof. It's
Mhm.
amazing to me. The value increase. It
Mhm.
really has been. Whereas like the 70s Ford trucks are doing the same thing though.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as Gas Monkey did their shop truck, and it was a dent side or a bump side Ford truck. I don't remember what body style it was, but I think it was a week after that episode premiered. I swear all the prices doubled on
Mhm.
those trucks because everybody's like, oh, you can build a bagged shop truck. 20, 30 years ago, there was nobody bagging dent side and bump side Fords, slamming them on the ground with 20-inch wheels and like mini truck stuff. Now there's kits.
Mm-hmm.
You put Crown Vic front ends under them, or you put them on a complete Crown Vic frame. You bag it. You put a different engine in it. They sell all these swap kits to make them really cool. They do the same things for the square bodies. There's kits to do anything to those. So in the end, it really depends on what you want. And I think that's the most important thing before you start your first project is knowing what you want. Don't get a project just to have a project.
Mm-hmm.
If you're planning on building something and selling it, think about the resale value, the market. How much work are you going to have in it? How much of your parents' garage are you going to take up? Are your parents cool? My mom got mad every time a car came home because I started buying cars when I was 15 because I was already working. I started
because they wouldn't stop you.
Then nobody could stop me. I started buying cars when I was 14. I bought that 64 F100. I blew it up in 2 weeks. I owned it for 2 weeks, and the motor exploded because my friend decided to teach me how to sidestep the clutch to do burnouts. Now, when you take an old farm truck that hasn't left the farm and has, all original parts on it, they are not designed to hold it at $4,000 and sidestep the clutch. It did it a couple times, and it did amazing burnouts. But it only did it a couple times, and then the transmission disassembled itself. So think about what you really want. Don't get that project just to get that project. Make sure that it's something you really like. Go find somebody that has a project like yours. Mm-hmm. One thing car guys love to do is talk about cars. I never get sick of it. Yes, this is a great example. Like I told you, last night a guy came from Marketplace to buy an intake manifold. Mm-hmm. We had a great hour-long conversation that had nothing to do with that intake manifold.
Yep.
Just about cars we've had and things we want to do and tips and tricks and cool junkyards to go find the good stuff. Do that. Go experience it. Go into some of these hot rod shops. They'll let you in there and go check it out. Ask them if you can hang out for a day. Mm-hmm. Hey, can I hang out and shadow one of your mechanics for a day and mess around with these cars and go to the car shows and watch the videos and the podcasts, especially this one.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. We got to do a little ding. Does it pop up? We could do that?
I haven't worked on that yet, but
all right.
I do the end card, but the cards that show up in the middle of it I haven't quite worked on yet.
Okay, fantastic. We'll have to get on that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it either.
It is an option that it gives you, but you have to go through the video and be like, this is when I set it, and that's why whenever somebody says, oh, click on the card, they always do this, right?
Yeah.
To point at it?
Yeah.
Because that's a visual marker for them in the video so that they know when to do that. Because if you just say, oh, just click on the card up above, right?
Yeah.
When you're going through later, you're like, I don't know where I said that.
Where was it?
Yeah.
I have to take notes, partially because I'm an old man, but even when I'm editing these videos, I feel like an old man, and I have to watch YouTube videos on how to edit YouTube videos.
Yeah.
We're getting better at it, though.
Yeah, both you and me together. So that is the other side of your business. You have the Greasy Boy Customs YouTube page.
Yes.
Yep.
So the main idea behind the YouTube page started off with everybody was like, oh man, you can be like Vice Grip Garage and just start your own YouTube channel. You'll be rich. That's not how it works at all. I wish. That'd be awesome. But my friend came to me and he was like, hey man, you're already doing the work. Just stick a camera in there and once a week just edit a video and post it. So I started doing that. And at first it was just quick 5-minute videos on how to do something. And that turned into me filming full builds and progress updates and going to shows and, just making videos.
Tech tips.
The tech tips have always been great. It's a great way to get a lot of good and bad comments at once.
Yep.
Some people don't agree with your tech tips and some people find it super helpful. I did one on how to wire up a 3G Ford alternator, which is what you would have found in a late 80s, early 90s Ford. It's a lot better than a GM one wire or the earlier generation Ford alternators, and you can run them a V-belt or a serpentine belt by swapping the pulley, but you have to have an idiot light wired into it for it to charge. You can also put in a resistor to take place of the idiot light, so you don't have to have one. I did a video on that, and that has been one of my most popular videos. Most people have found it helpful. Some people have not, But in talking to them, usually the ones who found it not helpful didn't have that alternator.
Mm-hmm.
And why they were watching a video on how to wire an alternator that was not the one that they had, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I got a fantastic negative comment this morning. So I did a video on that rust encapsulator that you brush on the frame.
Yep.
And a lot of people asking me legitimate questions. How does it work? How thick does it go on? Does it hold up well? Is it UV resistant? Yada, yada, yada. So I try to answer all these questions the best I can. And some guy this morning commented on the video, and he said, this is a very, not like lying, but like he said I was like tricking
Misleading.
them. Misleading. There you go. That's the word. He said the video is very misleading. He said the title of the video, the product you are using, and the link to the video are not the same product. So I thought, oh man, I messed up editing the video. I put the wrong link in there. I put the wrong picture in my thumbnail. No, I didn't. The product I am using in the video is the exact same part number where you can buy it at their store, and it's the same one that's pictured. So I have no idea what this guy was talking about. I can only assume maybe it worked so well he didn't believe it. Maybe he thought it was like an infomercial.
Yeah.
Because that's hard for me to do, is to do these videos. I do some videos on reviews on tools and products, and to make it not an infomercial.
Yep.
I want to show a legitimate, honest opinion on it. If I don't like it, I'm not going to like bash it and be like, this is a piece of crap. But I'm also not going to hide the negatives from you. You know, this worked pretty well. However, it'd be better if it did this, or I wish they did this or changed this. And I've never had backlash from any of these people that have given me these products for doing that. I always tell them, I do honest reviews. Are you okay with that? Yes. Okay. No problem. I did some on some drones. They were not that great. But they were fun, and they were great entry level. But, like, I wouldn't be filming YouTube videos with them. At $100, why would you? You know, that's not a very high-end drone.
Yeah.
But the YouTube channel's grown substantially. I started it about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. And I'm a little over 7,000 subscribers at this point. I get pretty good traction. Some, like you experienced too. Some videos, you like put so much effort into it, and you make it really cool and entertaining, and you cut out all the BS. So it's just the instant gratification keeps someone captivated. So you think, and then it gets 100 views. And then you do some stupid 30-second video that you put zero effort into, and it gets 20,000. And then you think you got it figured out, so you do another stupid 30-second video, and it gets 5 views. And I still haven't figured it out. And I don't know if there's somebody behind the curtain pulling the strings, making it all work, or however it works.
Give Dan a little bit of that view. No, not take it away.
There's Zuckerberg in a green outfit behind a screen with a cape on, pulling cords or something. I don't really know. And that's been aggravating, and it hurts my head to think about it. Social media is annoying sometimes. I love it. It drives my business more than anything else that I do. Social media posts and YouTube videos drives people to my shop more than anything else I do. I had a full-blown website. It was a waste of money for me. Now, other shops, it may be relevant, but I wasn't doing anything. I tried selling merchandise. I sold quite a bit, but then it just stopped. So I quit doing merchandise. I stopped focusing on that. And we do the videos. I do the work at the shop, and that's kind of about where I'm at now.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. No, and, I love the YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
Like I have my own little personal YouTube page, which, when I have stuff to post, I post it.
Yeah.
But I'm not racing right now. We're rebuilding the car, and
so it's time for an OnlyFans page.
Absolutely not. So I've been doing this now.
Yeah.
Where I'm doing the podcast stuff. And there's some stuff I'm like, oh, that guy will be great to get on. Like I had Turbo John on here.
Yeah.
Great interview, great time. He's got a pretty big fan base. He's got like 300 views.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty good for us. I had this guy ProMod Randy on here.
Yeah.
Right? And ProMod Randy doesn't have a Facebook page, doesn't have his own YouTube page. He's just a buddy of Turbo John's.
Yeah.
900 views.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I don't understand it.
John Dock was on here. Actually, he was the last episode that came out.
Yeah.
And his is doing pretty good. It's like 700 views right now, and brought a whole bunch of subscribers. Welcome everybody from John Dock's YouTube channel. Thank you very much for subscribing.
Yeah.
tell your friend, share it, because we're trying to grow this thing.
Well, and that's the great thing about this time. We mean you were talking about it before. Anybody that wants to have me on their YouTube channel, podcast, or whatever, I try not to say no ever. If I can physically do it, I try to do it because, one, I love meeting new people in the car world.
Yeah.
It is awesome, and
we're a small community.
Yeah.
We're not very big.
You have to have the networking to survive, especially smaller guys like us. You have to network to survive. Nothing has been handed to us. We weren't handed a 30,000 square foot shop full of tools and equipment. And a lot of these people that are relevant and popular now, they weren't handed that stuff either. But you've got people that have busted their butt to make these successful YouTube channels and get the automotive content out there. And then, now, like, what's the name of Cletus's track?
The Freedom Factory.
The Freedom Factory. Didn't they put the sign wrong at the road? Factory
Freedom.
He's a great example of somebody that, he started from somewhere and he built it into this great thing, and it gets that many more people involved in it. And I want people to be into cars. Part of the reason that I have a shop and build cars is because I love the cars and I love the people associated with the cars. I want to see those people enjoying those cars. I absolutely love it when a customer passes me on the road. And that's why these local cars, sometimes I build them and I never see them again. They either get sold or they get stuck in the garage or they don't drive them very often. And then every now and then it comes past you sideways down the highway and you're like, that's awesome. And that makes me happy. And my car can't even go sideways, but theirs does. Like that one I built with the fat tires in the back of that truck.
Oh, my goodness.
He drives the snot out of that thing. I think those Mickey Thompsons were like 22.5 inches wide or something like that. They were huge. And 31 or 33 inches tall. I mean, just that was the epitome of like a 70s shackled up, mean stance, like hot rod. And that guy had that mentality. He grew up at that time, and he loved it. Big old fat tires, open headers, uncomfortable, not concerned about ride quality, just look and sound, and he got it. Absolutely, that thing was disgusting. That cam was so big.
Yeah.
It barely idled at 1,600 RPM. Like,
It sounded like an open header bracket car.
Yeah. It was a small block Chevy with dual fours and a high rise headers and a gigantic cam. I don't know what kind of cam it was. It wasn't like that big mother thumper cam I just put in that truck. It was something a little more extreme. But I still love it just the same. I do.
Yeah. Talking to Dan Van Horn, the owner of Rockingham.
Yeah.
He's a co-owner of Rockingham Dragway. And I asked him, did YouTube, more specifically YouTube and social media, save the racetracks?
Yeah.
And in his opinion, it really did.
Yeah, I think so.
Because racetracks were dying.
Yeah.
All over. And, like, there's still some that are going out, but there's a couple new ones actually being built as well.
Yeah.
And it was it was your Cletus McFarland's.
Yeah.
It was your, Vice Grip Garage and all these other guys going back out to the racetrack.
Yep.
And my generation seeing it.
Yes.
Because my dad didn't race. My dad's a pilot.
Yeah.
Right? And he flies
He flies
commercial
things
airlines.
that are way faster.
Way faster. He flies commercial airlines.
Yeah.
He was an officer in the Navy.
Yeah.
He was a pastor. Last thing we were going to do was go to the racetrack. Right?
Yeah, fair enough.
And I have some very good friends that pushed me to make horrible decisions.
Yeah.
And now here I am in this world of racing. You know?
Absolutely. And it really did. I think it has helped out opening it up to people. And I've seen a huge increase of ladies in the industry and people like Lacey Blair. She's doing amazing. Like she has a fantastic following and she does so many different things and works with all kinds of people. She's everywhere. And I ran into her by accident when I was at SEMA 2 years ago. And it was funny, because it's like you see this person who's just like really into cars, but now she has this gigantic YouTube and social media following. So she has a full crew. Like there was like 5 people walking with her and one was filming and one was on the phone and somebody else was telling her where to go. Like it was a full team deal.
Production.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a huge production, and watching that in person and seeing where I am now and where she is and comparing the difference. And I'm just like, wow, there's like she had to get all these people here and get them in. And she has to meet with all these vendors and stuff and then still find time between filming the social media content to go back to the shop and work on the cars. And
Yep.
well, they do a lot of trucks. Her and I don't know if it's her boyfriend or husband, whatever it is, but they do a lot of like the lifted trucks with the Yeet Boy trucks with the crazy frame lifts and all the fancy paint jobs on the frame. And
Yeet?
they do a lot of powder coating and stuff like that. And she does a lot of the powder coating. And that has opened up a whole different group of things. Like, I've been trying to find a way to get more ladies interested in my channel, not for my own personal gain, but just like when I look at my stats on YouTube, it says, age groups and, male or female following you, and there's like no females.
Yeah.
And then it's nothing but like middle-aged dudes.
I think it is 90% of the people that watch YouTube are male.
I don't know.
Like that is the YouTube statistic is
Yeah.
that guys for some reason are more drawn to YouTube.
Yeah.
I'll
say I think that's different with high school and younger people, though. That generation, because like my girls, they are on YouTube all the time. That's what they don't.
The younger generation is coming up.
They don't turn their TV on. They turn their phone on to YouTube, or they watch YouTube on the TV.
Yep.
All the time.
Yeah.
And and actually, it's funny. Ava came home from school not too long ago, and she said that there was a couple kids at her school that follow me on YouTube, and so she thought it was like pretty cool.
There you go. Got some dad points there.
And she like wore like the Greasy Boy shirt to school the next day, and I'm like, yeah. And those kids probably think that I am like something awesome. They have no idea that I'm just a broke old hot rodder.
Yeah. It was pretty funny. One of your videos you did was pulling the engine for the Bronco with your lawnmower.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Getting it into the shop and doing all that stuff. And that video just like took off.
It did.
For some reason, like, because it's kind of funny, it's kind of crazy.
That video was my tipping point on YouTube.
Yep.
That's what put me over the edge and brought me to where it is now.
Well, it was so funny because like I didn't share the video to my Facebook. I was in the middle of a bunch of other stuff. At least 3 of my friends did though, and they don't know you through me. They just they ran across your video and shared it to their Facebooks.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Look at this crazy guy." And I messaged one of them, Randy. Actually, it was back in the day. I messaged Randy and I was like, "Dude, that's my neighbor." And he's like, "No way!" And I was like, "Yeah." And I brought him down there one day to come check out your shop.
Yeah.
And, feel really bad for him. That car we were working on burnt to the ground. So,
I know. I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
Randy, you're in my thoughts.
Yeah.
I said a hot rod prayer for you the other night.
Yeah, man. So, but yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up here, man. This has been a whole lot of fun. Thank you very much for coming on.
Well, I'm glad you had me. I know I'm not your typical guest. I don't race cars, and none of my cars are worthy enough to race. They're my personal collection, and just a different perspective. It's still the same community. It's still the same partnership that we have with each other, and just we all love the smell of gasoline, and I think that brings us together. Well, some of us is diesel fuel, but either way,
or ethanol or methanol
Cam
or yeah.
Absolutely.
The higher octane rating, the better we like it.
Oh yeah. If I can stick my head in a tank full of it and I have to go to the hospital afterwards, I'm down.
Yeah. Well, thank you for all the work you've done on emotional damage through the years.
Yeah,
we've called you in a couple times.
I'm just here for good looks and good company.
Yeah. So, alrighty. Where would be the best place for people to follow you at?
Oh, sure. Yeah. You can follow me on all my social media outlets. I don't tweet, so don't go on Twitter looking for me. But we have Instagram, Facebook, we have YouTube, and we can also be contacted through email, greasyboycustoms@gmail.com. But
Customs is spelled with a K.
Customs with a K because it's cool.
Yeah, like Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that is with a K, isn't it?
Everything in Mortal Kombat, everything that should have a K, should have a C has a K for some reason.
I don't know. Maybe that guy was into 60s hot rods. But anyway, if you just look up Greasy Boy Customs with a K at any social media outlet, you'll find something. It should be me. If it's not, let me know.
Yep. All right. As usual, I'm Nate, the Fast Plumber. You can follow me on Instagram. Please hit the subscribe button to this YouTube channel right here, Everything in Racing. And Ernie will be back next week, hopefully.
Is Ernie alive?
Ernie is alive. He keeps messaging me, so it might be his wife, though.
Oh.
Is messaging me. And she's doing a good job of pretending to be him.
That's fantastic. I guess she can come on the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, come on, Angie.
We'll call you Ernie.
Yeah, there we go. All right, guys, we're going to call it there. See you next time. Don't forget to sign the hood before you leave, by the way.
Absolutely, will do.
All right.